Lassiter Factor.
What's up, all my movie-loving maniacs? This is your boy, Thankful B of the Lassiter Factor, and I thought I'd take a moment to rank all the movies I've seen from the world of Oz. That is, all the movies I've seen that's related to the Wizard of Oz. Now, let me put emphasis on the ones that I've seen because there's probably a couple of other movies related to the Wizard of Oz that I've never seen or haven't added here, but I tried my best to include all the ones that's the most important, so these are the ones that I've seen and how I am ranking them. I do have one honorable mention, and that is The Muppets Wizard of Oz, which I do remember watching when it aired on ABC back in the day, but as of right now in my adult life, I either just don't have the time nor the motivation to sit down and go back and rewatch it. But I did want to at least mention it because I do remember it, and my boy Shanti was in it. The Muppets are always cool whenever they do like their own little spin on a classic tale. But yeah, Muppets Wizard of Oz. Thought I'd still mention it, so let's get into the actual list. Coming in last place is Return to Oz, which I did watch for the first time last year, and it is the sequel, well, direct sequel to the original Wizard of Oz, even though it doesn't really have any ties to that film. But even though it's in last place, I kind of admire it for just how weird and bizarre it is. But like most people that grew up on this movie, I'm glad that I didn't watch it when I was little, because otherwise it probably would have scared me. But it's the most weird and bizarre and detached from all the other movies on this list, and that's why it's in last place. Coming at number 5 is Wicked for Good, which is the latest film to come out that is a part of the World of Oz. And it is Act 2, the concluding chapter of the Wicked saga, which I liked but didn't love. I like part 1 more, which I'll get into in a little bit, but as fun as Wicked for Good was, and it did have its moments, but I just felt like as a concluding chapter, it just left me unfulfilled. But the performances are still solid. The music number is not as memorable or catchy as Act 1. I have some pros and cons about how it ties into The Wizard of Oz, but overall, still a solid film, just not as good as part 1. Now, I might get my black card revoked for how low this movie is, but at number 4 is The Wiz, which I have seen a handful of times growing up. I remember my older sister had this movie on VHS back in the day, and me and my family, we all sat down and popped it in there, watched it, and yeah, it's basically The Wizard of Oz. Well, yeah, but it's the black version of The Wizard of Oz, but it is still based on a stage play. But regardless, I will always have a spot in my heart for this film just for the actors that's in here. I mean, you have Diana Ross as Dorothy, the late Michael Jackson as the Scarecrow. The world, the production, and the costume design in this film is just magnificent and fun to watch. And of course, the music by Quincy Jones, rest in peace, will forever be iconic. It was an excellent little take on the Wizard of Oz, and I will always have a spot in my heart for this film. And I'm glad that this film is getting the flowers that it deserves. Number 3 is Oz, the Great and Powerful, which is a controversial choice because I did reveal this list to a good friend of mine, and she hates this movie, and I know this movie does have flaws. I understand the flaws, but the hate that this movie gets, I think it's a little unwarranted. And granted, it has a problematic person in the title role, but overall, I just like the world, even if some of the visual effects don't quite hold up. But regardless, I just like the whole origin story of Oz and how they did it, and how it ties into the Wizard of Oz, and how it sets up, well, this particular world of Oz. But look, if you didn't like this movie, I get it. But for the ones that do like it, you're awesome. And again, like if you don't like this movie, I encourage you to just give this movie a second chance. And I think you'll see the like, okay, this is actually a nice little movie right here. If anything, I will say Mila Kunis as the Wicked Witch during the second half of this movie didn't quite work for me. But my runner-up is Wicked Part 1, which, like I said earlier, I like Part 1 more than I did Part 2. I just think Part 1 is a more cohesive and complete film. It's the origin story of Glinda and Elphaba and how they came into their roles, and then by the end, Elphaba, she accepts her role as the bad guy, and she goes on this little quest to basically expose the wizard for 5 years. But not only just that, but like I said, for Part 2, the performances are still there. I'd say Part 2 was all about Glinda, but Part 1 was all about Elphaba, and the movie did such a good job of making you side with her and make you feel sorry for her. The music in Part 1 is better, and for Part 1 and 2, I gotta give glory to John M. Chu, who is the director of both of these films, and he did such a good job of bringing this world to life from a production standpoint. But of course, at number one is The Wizard of Oz, which really isn't that surprising. But hey, it's the reason we're all here. What can I say? It's iconic, it's a classic. What can I say about this movie that hasn't already been said? Granted, I feel sorry for everybody that got involved in all the production issues within this movie, but for what it's worth, hey, you made a classic, and it paved the way for all the other movies that will follow, for better and worse. And of course, it may not have gotten its flowers when it was first released, but it's gotten its flowers over the years since the film's release, and it even paved the way for many other technical things within the industry. But that's my ranking of The World of Oz. And by The World of Oz, I mean the movies related to The Wizard of Oz that I have seen. And here's a quick recap. You can watch it on my Letterboxd account. Just follow at Lassiter Factor. And again, if there is a movie related to The Wizard of Oz that I have missed, please let me know in the comment section below, and maybe I'll watch it sometime. And let me know what you think of this list, and let me know how you would rank these movies. This is your boy, Bankful B of the Lassiter Factor. Stay safe, wash your hands, peace.